BP, the recipient of, well, I don't know if it's hundreds, the oil industry as a whole, hundreds of billions of dollars in corporate welfare, is continuing to try and get their well under control. The administration furious, but apparently unable to do anything about this. The banksters writing legislation in Congress. What is this? What form of government do we have here? And you know, where is this all going? Robert Knight is with us. He's a senior writer and Washington, D.C. correspondent for Coral Ridge Ministries. They've come up with a new book and DVD. The book is called 10 Truths About Socialism, and the DVD from the Coral Ridge Hour, Socialism, A Clear and Present Danger. Sir, I've read your book. I've watched your DVD. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. First of all, in the opening of the movie, you're talking about socialism and its evils, and up pops a picture of President Obama. Are you guys a tax-exempt organization, by the way?
Are we? Yes, we are.
Okay, so here you are, a socialist organization that's living, that I'm paying your way, and you're attacking my president?
That's interesting that you'd say that nonprofits are socialist organizations simply because they're not subject to the same tax laws that, corporations are.
Let's say parasitic.
Parasitic.
Yeah.
No, I just think there are areas where the government ought to stay out of. And Coral Ridge.
Why should I be paying your taxes for you to make a movie that attacks President Obama and publish a book that prominently features Reverend Wright, who's like, you know, got nothing to do with anything?
What do you mean he's got nothing to do?
I mean, the guy has crawled into a hole years ago. He's not even preaching anymore.
Well, that's because Obama threw him under the bus. In fact, he said that the other day. Wright has not been silent. He spoke at the Monthly Review Conference last year, that's the Socialist magazine, saying that he appreciated the publication because it was no-nonsense Marxism. And this is the guy President Obama listened to for 20 years at the Trinity United Church of Christ in Chicago. So if you say he's irrelevant, then I guess Obama's got a hearing problem.
And I'm assuming then that when Reverend Wright said that if America is going to not follow the teachings of Jesus, if America is going to wage war unfairly or inappropriately or illegally on people, then God will damn this country, that you're not on Jesus' side on this thing. You're on the side of the war, the military-industrial complex.
Well, that's because Reverend Wright has confused the teachings of Jesus with the teachings of Karl Marx. And Marx, socialism is anything but compassionate. It's just theft at the point of a gun, only the government's exerting it instead of the robber on the corner. It's redistributing wealth. It's based on envy. In fact, we make a big point of that in our book, that it's really at its core about envy. It's somebody's got something I don't have. It must be their fault, therefore I can take it from them. And the government's the middleman in that enterprise. And then when you see that work its way around the world, in Greece, in nations that are proudly socialist, they just spread misery. They don't spread the wealth.
So we should do away with Social Security?
I think Social Security,
we should do away with our socialist police departments?
No, you're confusing proper.
We should do away with our socialist fire departments?
Yeah, Tom, what you're creating a straw man here. You're saying that if there's any government at all. Okay, then
let me ask. No,
I'm. You know better than that.
Okay, you're in your book 10 Truths of Socialism and in your DVD, you go after really communism. And
socialism.
And I realize that Marx used the word socialism, but the Norwegians who call themselves socialists and the Danes who call themselves socialists would have no brook at all, nothing to do with Karl Marx and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. There's this incredible conflating that's going on in your literature, and I'm really curious, Robert Knight, why is it, if you're so concerned, I am. Why is it that if you share my concern about the horrors of communism, of communist dictatorships like the communist dictatorship of China, that will take people who dare speak out against the government, put them in prison, and if some rich American comes along and wants to buy a kidney or a liver, will put them to death to sell the organs. If you're so concerned about that, why aren't you going after the American corporations that have built that socialist, communist, evil empire?
Were you talking about the corporations that would sell the rope to hang them with, as Lenin talked about American capitalists?
I'm talking about people like Carly Fiorina when she was running HP, who moved 10,000 jobs from the United States to China, and now thinks on the basis of that wonderful act, she can replace Barbara Boxer in the United States Senate. Yeah.
I think what you're saying is that corporations in and of themselves are evil somehow. And
no, what I'm saying is that when they send money what I'm saying is that you're being inconsistent in your condemnation of socialism and communism. You're saying
there is no good outcome from socialism and communism, whereas corporations have produced incredible wealth and individual liberty in ways that were unprecedented in world history.
So you're unwilling
just because some corporations have behaved badly, you can't say the entire free market enterprise system is bad. Whereas socialism, you can't point to any triumphs of socialism. They really increase poverty.
You ever been to Scandinavia?
They break up families. They break up
Have
families.
you ever been to Scandinavia, sir?
I haven't been to Scandinavia. I've studied it, and marriage is on the rocks in Scandinavia because the welfare state's taking care of the kids. So why get married? So socialism destroys families, and it's been doing that since its inception. When Frederick Engels said the family was the enemy of socialism because it got in the way. It imparted different values.
Oh, okay. You know, by any measure of quality of life, the people of the socialist republics of the Scandinavian countries beat us. They live longer, they're happier, they have lower crime rates, they have less domestic violence, they have less sexual violence. I mean, right across the board, by any measure. Apparently, except the number of people who actually go to a church and get married. And I don't know if maybe you're just including church weddings because there's not so many of those. But again, let me ask the question: why will you not condemn? You're condemning President Obama for listening to a guy that you think is a socialist, Reverend Wright. Why won't you condemn the American? Why don't you condemn American corporations who send work to communist China and Vietnam? Vietnam just arrested their 37th journalist this year for daring to report what's going on in the communist country of Vietnam.
Yeah, I think there's been too much collusion with communist China. You know,
there's not a word about it in your book, and there wasn't a word about it in your DVD.
Well, that's because we're concentrating on socialist regimes, what it means to be socialist.
You are supporting socialist regimes.
Oh, I am supporting socialist
by
regimes.
Not condemning the people who are giving them their money. I was in China in 1987. It was a third world country. It is now a rich and wealthy country, and virtually 100% of that is because American corporations have shipped our jobs over there. And not a single word about this in all your condemnation of communism or socialism.
So in constructing basically a textbook on socialism, we should be going after the capitalists instead because you have such a jaundiced view of American capitalism.
You should go after the people who are supporting them.
Well, I don't like it when they prop up communist regimes.
They're not just propping them up. They're making them rich and powerful.
We might agree on this. We might even agree on this.
Okay.
I think, you know, to make a buck, you still have to have a moral element. You can't just make a buck by, as you say, selling purloined organs from people who are dissidents. I mean, that's horrifying.
So are you going to put this in the next edition of the book and the video, your condemnation of American corporations that send our jobs to China and Vietnam?
Yeah, maybe we could. That's not a bad idea. Okay. But it sure won't be a condemnation of free market economics as a whole. And,
this show is a for-profit business. I'm not condemning free market economics. What I'm saying is that
you seem to be for more centralized power in Washington. You're very much a Obama supporter.
I'm all in favor of a social safety net. I realize you call that socialism. I think without I agree with Franklin Roosevelt that a necessitous man is not a free man. But you know,
there are going to be more necessitous men if the government keeps growing and taking our wealth.
I'll leave you with the last word. Robert Knight, dangersofsocialism.com. People can check it out and make up their own mind. And Robert, I'll continue paying my taxes to support you and your tax-free organization. Thanks for being here.